How's it going, guys? I see numbers, but no faces yet. Dave Barnes, there we go. Good evening, man. Oh, it's nice today and less windy than it's been. There's Debbie Salzman. Who else we got on here? Hope you guys had a good weekend. Mine was okay. It was kind of full of when James is here too. When you're most of you are past, well past this, but you guys know when you have kids, not even little kids, you have kids that are involved in sports and stuff, and it just like takes the whole stinking day, like the entire day. And it was kind of cold and windy yesterday, but that's what we spent. We spent our Saturday watching games and stuff, and it's cool. Because you can imagine for young people here, for my kids and your kids and youth sports and the sort of what COVID has done to that, and trying to keep some of those things together and like going, so they're still going on the other side of this, and there's a few things that probably won't come back. I really hope on the other side of COVID, hopefully our youth theater can kind of get going again, but we'll see. And was it Saturday? I don't know if was it Friday or Saturday that actually was National Siblings Day, and naturally it wasn't planned for the National Siblings Day, but my older sister Tasha came from Portland to come see me, so that's been cool. She's not leaving till tomorrow. She's quite a bit different than I am. She's urban, and lived most of her life in urban settings, and she was pretty independent and left home pretty quick. So it was really good to see you, to see her, and I know there's plenty of you on here that know of the significance as far as my one full-blooded sibling that I have left. So Terry Anderson, bring her out. Dave Barnes, she's kind of shy, the camera wise. She does. I don't know exactly what she would call herself as far as her profession, but she does social work and has been a part of like large scale congregate shelter for folks, and I heard her describing to my kids leading groups, facilitating groups of people. So she's in social work, and she's pretty cool. She's my older sister. We hadn't seen each other since, we hadn't seen each other in person for years. And then, obviously definitely not since our two siblings passed. So yeah, it was good to see her. So guys, I wasn't on Thursday, which I missed you. I was excited about getting on today. So we'll go through. There's Robbie. Thinking your last name's probably pronounced, I don't know if it's Grew. But I'll go through Thursday, and Candace Michelle. Yeah, you asked me something today too. So Silas, first song. You guys want to hear Silas play a tune? So there's Robbie. I'm hoping Lucette was going to come back on. Robbie Grew, that's how you pronounce your last name. Yeah. Hopefully Lucette's on, and any other, any other posse you guys could round up. Ready?
Yeah. So, this song that I'm going to play is called Homemade Wine by Sean Mullins. I used to listen to this song a lot with my dad. Yeah. 60 miles from El Paso, feeling as lonesome as can be, driving further from the heartache that was slowly killing me. I left at 4 a.m. last Monday, filled up my tank at Luther's store. I might be checking in come Sunday, 'cause I know by then she'll walk the floor. She has it inside her skull that I am hers and she is mine. She's out on empty and I am full of broken dreams and homemade wine. There's a kid who plays the squeeze box on the bridge border Georgia side. He dances to the beat, no shoes on his feet, to the music that he makes as I drive by. And I felt just like the devil's whole night pull, but right this second I feel fine. My tank is dead on empty, but I am full of love, broken dreams and homemade wine. Now the Goshen sings me a love song. Now the girlfriend she sings me a love song. I can hear from the boxcar I ride. Her voices in my brain, making music with a string that will soon take me to the other side. And she might think that I'm coming back to hold her close and stop her crying. This freight train's driving down a southbound track full of broken dreams and homemade wine. Just broken dreams and homemade wine. And she might think that I'm coming back to hold her close and stop her crying. This freight train's driving down a southbound track full of broken dreams and homemade wine. Broken dreams and homemade wine.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.
That's a cool song, dude. That was cool.
Thanks.
Sean Mullins, yeah, that was cool. Oh, Holly Byer. Candace, you asked me a quick one on my post just for today. You said that someone told you it was illegal to throw a blanket out and like fall asleep at a cellular park. So, Asher's listening too. We've got a new dog too. I haven't talked about that yet. Candace, so that would have been that would have most definitely been before the Boise, homeless camping, homeless living court case a couple years ago, because there's no, obviously there's no way now. And at the time, it's a code of, it's an anti-homeless code, because it'd be selectively enforced. And when, all of us in this community, we'd look at each other and say, should I be able to take my kids to Kid Town and throw a blanket out and take a siesta in the sunshine, you know, at Azalea Park? And like, obviously we would all say we should be able to do that, right? And we all could, but you know, it'd be an easier way to kind of help people move along if someone thought that they shouldn't be there. So Candace, I you know, that ordinance and other ones that, you know, needed to be changed or are just completely unenforceable. Selectively enforced, Lucette. Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm not saying it'd be a good thing, but it's kind of like how you can. I remember being young. I remember when I was young, and I got a whole lot of speeding tickets when I was young. And then when I was older, I didn't really get as many speeding tickets, and it's not necessarily because I wasn't speeding, but you know, when I was younger, I always drove. You know, I had an old pickup. I had an old AMC Ambassador, and so when you see some old rundown, you know, 1972 AMC Ambassador going through town speeding a little bit, you're gonna pull them over. Instead of, you know, now I drive through town in a Chevy Suburban, and you know, and I'm not bothered as much. So when I say selective enforcement, it's an inevitability of some of those codes that are short. I think they're short-sighted. So I'm taking a nap under a tree the other day. I don't know, Michelle. I'm sure there's some of them, because we haven't stricken anything, and I know a couple of them have been tweaked, and then, you know, on the enforcement end, I'm told, and I would really presume that at least Brookings PD is, you know, knows what they can legally enforce, but I mean, honestly, I could be wrong, and if someone was, I mean, I can tell you if I was taking a nap under a tree at Azalea Park and someone tried to roust me out of there, I don't know if that would, I don't know how that would work. Andre Bay. So going to Thursday. So I want to cover Thursday stuff, but we also have a council meeting on Monday that I wanted to be able to share. But Andre Bay. So dude, you asked me about your tree on Hemlock because you heard this. You know, we're gonna redo sidewalks, and so when I was at your house last time, Andre Bay, I noticed, you know, because I tend to do that, because I've been through this where street projects are done, and you have people lose their front yard and they get real ticked. So if there's even one completed section of the sidewalk, you can stand back and look down it, and it looks to me like your big tree is going to be somewhere in the center of the sidewalk, and it's probably going to come down. So I know it needs a tunnel cut through it. Yeah, that's one of those things. When I lived on Spruce Street for a while. I lived there in an old mill house down there before, during, and after the downtown improvement project, where a lot of our streets down there, Andre, were finished, paved, and curb gutter sidewalk, and they put lights in and stuff. Anyway, you know, the idea of having a nice new street and sidewalk was really cool. But what happens is when they build out to the whole right of way, and those, you know, those streets are 50-foot right of ways, and so they build that out, and all of a sudden, somebody on usually on one side or the other, they lose what they think is their front yard. And so if you drive around town, or if you have a house, I was at a friend's house that had this yesterday down on Tan Bark, you look out their front yard, and it looks like there's a fire hydrant out towards kind of in the middle of their front yard. Well, if you walk out, I mean, it's all public. It's within that 50-foot public right of way. So there can be some things, Andre, that kind of suck about getting the street redone. I asked folks doing the survey, but they didn't know. Just put pink dots everywhere. Yeah. You know the thing though, Andre, when they start doing that, because mistakes get made, as soon as if you can have them point out, the edge of their right of way, and point that out, and make sure, when they do sidewalks or when they're working down there, they don't encroach onto actually what's your property. They did when they did mine, and they started doing the lights downtown. They tried putting the light like halfway into my yard, and I had to keep reminding them of it because I actually did it twice. So yeah, you might lose your tree. Hombre. Susan McKinney, I didn't see her name pop up. She oftentimes will watch after I'm done. Susan McKinney asked about, you mentioned how you'd love to see more crosswalks on a railroad. And it's definitely, it's one of those kind of like main thoroughfares that don't have a whole lot of crosswalks. And it would be, it'd be nice, for pedestrians to be able to have a few more areas that are marked to cross. Railroad, it's kind of like 101, where, like on the north end of town, after you go past the crosswalk that's by like Rancho Viejo, there's not another crosswalk going north, and that one comes up every so often, and the problem is, it's not quite as easy as just throwing, painting the lines on the street, or adding a stop sign at a certain intersection or something like that. It's just not that easy. You can imagine that the city of Brookings, and everything owned publicly and public rights of way, we're insured, right? And so if we change traffic, if we put a stop sign, or we make a pedestrian pathway that we're marking out and saying and giving our stamp of approval on that this is a safe spot to pass, we have to back that up, and it has to be studied and justified through things like traffic counts and traffic studies. Try making a left-hand turn on Chetco from Arnold during the summer. Yeah, Candace. Yeah. There's different spots around town that are getting crazy. Some of you might remember, I guess it was a little bit ago, where the Cove condos on Wharf Street, they came to the council and asked to do a 4-way stop on Wharf and Railroad. Can be difficult. Yeah, there's a bunch of them down there, Andy. Or like every single day I come off Parkview, nose into Chetco Ave, and holy smokes, man, sometimes I am, I'm waiting there forever. Let's keep going. This is what we were doing in this posse. The posse thing. Robbie Green, not a member of a posse, just a Brookings homeowner who is wanting to stand with small businesses. I don't want to lose any more of them. Okay, so I got those. I think it's Lucette, and let me double check. Let me find them, guys. Hang on. Okay, so I'll read the two from Lucette and Robbie, because they're a paragraph, and I can see a serious misunderstanding, and the possibility of a serious misunderstanding by people that are part of this community. So I'm hoping that we can clear that up. So here, Lucette. It would be nice for you to address your city businesses that are shutting down or leaving because you, along with others, refuse to work to solve the governor's overreach. I spent 8 hours with a business owner yesterday. I have spent more than that in the past 2 weeks going out and meeting business owners and helping them for free. I'm asking you to please consider hearing us. Thank you. Robbie Grew. There are quite a few locals who will be tuning in tonight to hear what your plan is for reopening and saving our small businesses from total collapse. I certainly hope that you will be addressing your community this evening. A lot of people will be here at 6. Will you? So you can imagine that being a city official, and hearing from the public, especially public that hasn't really been involved in city politics and stuff, and really wouldn't doesn't really know a lot of things, and why would they? Because they're just normal people and not involved in government. So it's not uncommon for for people to come to a council meeting, or even to come to me and come talk to me with some just real misunderstandings as far as who I am, what the city is, what we do, what I do, and things, and just how things are set up. So I've seen where, and actually even myself, I've made mistakes in the past where when I met by somebody like that, and typically they're kind of tuned up too, because oftentimes the only reason that people would be concerned with city government is if they're mad about something, right? So I've made this mistake before. I still see a lot of public officials do it, is when we meet members of the public like that are obviously naive in some things and have misunderstandings of things, we hold that against them, and we're real quick to meet that fire with fire, right? So you come in hot on me, and I, to get a rise out of me or whatever, and I meet that with that same kind of like aggressiveness. I try not to do that. I try not to do that with folks, and kind of try to kind of bring them along. The thing, Lucette, with you and with your group, and I know you made like a Facebook page or something that I saw. The issue, Lucette, with you is you're so far beyond, and really don't have any concept of what reality is in Brookings, and especially the reality of the business community. And what's interesting to me, how the political machine works, Lucette. Yeah. And so it's tough to know where to start. Now, typically when somebody like trying to like pinning me like that, with nothing but kind of like insinuations and hyperbole and stuff, and assuming that I don't hear from the community and everything, is the irony in that. The best part of it, the irony between you and Robbie about whether or not I'm going to show up and hear from my community that are angry with me. After all of these people are going to be on. Will you? So the best part about that, the most ironic part about that, is I am in fact a local business owner, and couldn't come on at 6 because I was out sustaining my small business through the tough times of COVID. So how to respond to that and how to deal with that, whatever, especially from someone that is not part of my community. That's the best. So, but rather than, I didn't want to take up a whole bunch of time describing and informing Lucette, you on what county you're in and what Brookings is. And if you live in Gold Beach and you just kind of look south and see buildings down here and think that's Brookings, the difference between Brookings and Harbor and everything. But I don't want to take that much time. I don't want to take that much time. So what I will say is my concern about my community, the community here, Lucette, not necessarily where you're from. I don't want my community confused or misunderstanding about who you are and what your organization is. And so that was the reason that I asked both you and Miss Grew, exactly where you where you live and what business you own. And Robbie, you said you're from Brookings, so welcome to Brookings. And Lucette, so you came back and explained that you're not a business owner and yet but you are part of this organization, or you formed this organization that is to help businesses just like mine, by the way, to weather the storm or to reopen. But I was wondering, so the business names that you did tell me, what exactly was your plan if I did in fact know those businesses, and I did in fact know my own community and my own business community, and I was able to like quickly recognize and call BS on something. So for locals that are concerned and local people that care, Lucette doesn't speak for Jay Troust of Fat Irish. She definitely doesn't speak for Tammy Tanner, who Tammy Tanner, who posted an apology to everyone who she invited to your page, because that's Lucette and Robbie. I can't. It's super tough to judge someone's motives. Just about impossible. And so I try to assume that people's motives are right. And so assuming, Lucette, that your motives are true and pure, and you do in fact care about me and my business and the rest of the businesses in my community. If that truly is what you believe and what you care to do, then it's important for you to understand, Lucette, that you're doing the opposite. You're actually hurting. You're hurting my business and you're hurting restaurants and everything. And it's one thing to extend grace because someone's just kind of they're naive because they just don't know any better. But willful ignorance or willful disregard of things that like you should be able to kind of assume or maybe kind of wonder and check out first. Like, did you ever wonder how it is that someone becomes mayor or like becomes a city councilor? Did you even think to ask like what brought me here? What got me into city politics? And how in the world I could ever become mayor if I wasn't interwoven into the business community? We're a pretty small town. We have like 6,600 people, right? It's a small town, and I know a lot of folks. I've been here for a while. Social circle, work circle, and obviously being in public service the way I am, I know a lot of people. But I know I don't know all 6,600 people. And when someone comes to me, and deceives me and lies and says that they represent a good portion of my population, I wouldn't necessarily know. There's hundreds of people in this community that I've never met, and so if you said that you had 100 people behind you, I wouldn't necessarily know. It's a small town. I most likely would know, but maybe not. But here's the deal: in a town of 6,600 people, the business community is even smaller. The business community is actually pretty small in this community. And then start talking about restaurants, and it's even a smaller segment of that. And there wasn't a thought that perhaps, even by happenstance, the mayor of the city might actually know the restaurant owners, and know that oh man, it's just it's tough. It's tough. It's funny because I know the business owners, and I know what they would say. I know what they have said to me. And they're actually the caliber of business owners we have here is substantial, and they're a high caliber people, especially restaurants. And our business community, we don't have our voice not heard. Our voice isn't silenced. And restaurant owners call me, and they have my number. And as soon as COVID started happening, they started reaching out to me. I wouldn't have had a choice not to listen to their voices because that's how we are here. So, I was wondering if you weren't going to be on tonight, because typically, Lucette, how things like that work is you kind of implode in a couple of days, and I wouldn't even have a chance to see you. But if you do actually care about the business community here, and you would need to get kind of like squared away a bit first. But I could help you with some intros, to some of the business community here. But if you don't, and you want to just kind of keep doing what you're doing, just recognize what that actually does to the business community. And when you start shouting and stuff, it gets people's attention. And so, speaking as one business owner, I don't necessarily want the attention of the state, right? I don't want Kate Brown looking down here. I just want to be left alone. And I get that you're kind of fighting, you're like fighting a revolution or whatever. Hey, Robbie Grew, I get that, Robbie Grew, and I didn't want to do that, and I don't, Robbie, I don't, and I'll talk some more. But as far as Lucette goes, you're not helping me at all, Lucette, and I get how if I started an organization or I made a Facebook page and I just went around to businesses and said, I'm anti-business shutdowns. I want to see your business succeed, and I want to see Kate Brown allow your business to open back up. Here's an American flag. Do you want to join? Of course. Of course you would get people that would support you. In your case, and which is often the case of people like you, you're your own worst enemy. So as soon as you go out, and the more you talk, the more information you give, like when I asked you exactly what businesses you represent, the more specifics and details you give, the more people see like, ooh, yeah, that ain't it, and they stop it. So yeah, too bad, Lucette. But Robbie. So coming into Brookings, Robbie, it's a really great place to be, and I'm glad that you're concerned with mom and pop shops, because it's rough. It's incredibly rough. Restaurants are kind of in a classification of their own, and have really got the short end. Have seriously got the short end of it. But people that aren't in business, keep in mind that even those of us that have been kind of able to like remain open, supply chain has been demolished through this, and so it doesn't do any good to hang the open sign on your business when people come in and they can't buy anything. They can't, they can't get anything. If I can't get anything to sell, then I can't sell you anything. So it's tough. It's tough. It's a tough time. And restaurants. I wonder, Jay Trost or Lucette. I wonder if you met Tony Barron. So that's all harbor. Robbie. The city limits of Brookings goes from the river south to up to about Lone Ranch Beach, and that's Brookings city limits, and then south of the river is harbor. So I'm the mayor of Brookings. Obviously, we're Brookings and Harbor. We're one big community. Even Ketchup, Holly Bayer Ketchup. Bob Manley of Zola's just told me about that Friday. In fact, I was working at his house it wasn't Friday, it was Thursday. I was working on his house instead of being on here. He told me ketchup packets are in short supply. So down in Harbor, I forgot my train of thought there and where I was going. Yeah. Oh well, I don't know. Man, it was something good too. It was about another restaurant down there, but I can't remember. So it's rough, Debbie. It is rough, and you're obviously, Debbie, kind of willing to like get involved with someone or with an organization that's civic minded and everything. So there's a lot of them around here. There's a lot of him to. I've been here 3 years. Took me a minute to figure out Harbor Brookings. Robbie, don't worry about it. Robbie, people, I've spoken to people that have lived here for like 5 or 10 years, and they just look at Brookings and Harbor the same way. Candace Restaurants in Harbor. Oh, no. I was talking about the relationship between Brookings and Harbor, where Brookings is this incorporated city, and Harbor is just kind of unincorporated township across the river. But we're so joined at the hip that it's more like we're roommates, right? We're not really even neighbors. We're like roommates. And then, Gold Beach is a neighbor, right? And a good neighbor. And I wish them well, man. Some of their businesses have got to be hurting bad too. But so you got Brookings and Harbor is like roommates. Gold Beach is the neighbor. Gold Beach typically. As far as like my colleagues up there in Gold Beach City Council, we have a good relationship, a good neighbor policy. People like Lucette, people like that are kind of more like, it's more like if the neighborhood had some kid over and the kid started throwing firecrackers over the fence or something, and so one of the adults that live here need to go over and talk to the parents over there in Gold Beach and say, hey, get your, take care of that young whippersnapper that's throwing firecrackers over the fence. Yeah. Good luck to you, Lucette. I hope you kind of find your way and figure out where you are and and just recognize where you came. And this place, Brookings, Gold Beach, and the entire county included, it's actually a really, really special place. And those of you that find us and you want to live here too and move here, and like obviously I couldn't blame you. I saw this place and really wanted to move here. But you come. I'm comfortable asking you to kind of assimilate to us, to join us, and if Lucette, if you haven't figured out yet that kind of like political behavior doesn't get you anywhere here. So I wish you well, Lucette, I really do. But Miss Groove, you shouldn't have a hard time finding outfits to help out with. When I talk, speaking about restaurants, guys, when I talk to restaurant owners, restaurant owners that I don't only know on a mayoral basis or a professional work basis, but even a personal basis, like you know, where we babysit each other's kids, and my kids like work there at the restaurant. Anyway, what I hear from them are, you know, just that they want the community, they want me to ask my community to be understanding of the hardship of restaurants. Typically with, you know, it takes a long time. A lot of things are taking a long time. You know, it took me like an hour and a half to get lunch at Hungry Clam, down at the port. Lucette Hungry Clam is a place down there at the port, kind of by the boardwalk, that sells like fish and chips, and it's kind of a chowder house. Anyway, an hour and a half, you know, and it's tough, and everybody's cranky because everybody's hungry, and everyone's breathing through mask, and they're hot, and we're all trying to stand 6 feet apart, and it's frustrating, and it's a mess. So a lot of what I'm hearing from my business community guys is just asking all of us to be patient and to be respectful. And you know, like it's not too hard to see, right, that once it's figured out that you can't necessarily, it's not going to work just to kind of start a revolution and like secede from Kate Brown down here and OSHA and the OLCC. They have teeth for things. And so when you do figure out that it is what it is, and we have to live, you know, we have to live with these COVID restrictions, the best thing that you and I could do to keep them open is to try to keep our COVID case numbers down. And so, you know, that's another kind of interesting thing there, as far as trying to help businesses to stay open and yet propagate information that you know, just doesn't help what will actually keep them open. Yeah, tough time for businesses, man. It is for me too. And the most discouraging thing about it is, I know my business isn't alone in this, but around here, when the recession hit pretty much the rest of the country in '08, we were kind of doing okay here for a while, right? They were still building homes. There were still people out spending money, and it was being my young and naive self. I'm like, sweet, it passed us, right? Well, you know, it just took a while. It just took a while to catch up. And so by, you know, halfway through 2009, it was like the spigot gets turned off. Boom, we lose everything. And it tanked. It tanked plenty of local businesses. We had, you know, people were just giving up on their business or their trade, hanging their hat up and just having to go to work someplace else. It took years to recover from that. Both, you know, like collectively downtown and the vacant buildings, it took a long time to recover from that. On a personal level, it took a crazy amount of time to recover from that, and to kind of claw your way back up, really only to reach a point to kind of like net zero. Because after all, if you stay in town, and you stay open, and you don't just quit and file bankruptcy, you've got to pay all those bills, and you got to climb back up. And so, you know, 2015, 16, kind of, people are doing better, right? People are doing better. And then this happens, and looking around, wondering, you know, what is this? Or am I going to just watch everything just go away again? I mean, holy smokes, you know, everything that has been rebuilt for the last stinking decade, is that all going to just disappear again? And so I know that's where a lot of local businesses are at, you know, and when they reach out to me, like there was a local gym mentioned, and I'm not sure which one you were talking about, because I didn't recognize the name, and I know the person that has reps, and the one that used to be called South Coast. I'm not sure what that is now. Anyway, I'd spoken to both of them, and like a 24-hour gym that sells monthly memberships, and all of a sudden, they can't open their doors. They can't open their doors for a month. They hadn't had that business for very long, and it's a fairly young, it's young people that own it. And so what the heck, what are they going to do? So she reached out to me, and other like restaurant owners too, have reached out to me asking me what they should do and what the city would expect from them. And I tell them all the same thing. I tell them what I would do if I were in their shoes. And I told them, to the best of my understanding, what the response of the city of Brookings will be if they do this or that. And so if I owned a 24-hour gym, and all of my clientele is, they just called me and they said, well, if I can't use the gym for a month, I'm going to cancel my subscription to it. And I was actually put in a position, of like, it's not game playing. It's not starting a revolution against Kate Brown and getting all ginned up and doing that. It's like real, and it's real. You have real mouths to feed. You have real bills to pay. I had to tell her, look, if it was me and I was in that position, I'd stinking open up. I mean, and you take the fine if you can. When you're in that spot, and I've been in that spot, it doesn't matter what Kate Brown says. It really doesn't even matter what the city of Brookings says, and you do whatever it is you have to do to survive. Yeah. It always helps to actually talk to the person. Yeah. Don't forget to show the new dog. So here's the deal. All right. So here's the deal with the dog. Let me double check. I think Thursday ended with Lucette. Lucette and Miss Groove, but let me make sure. I didn't finish, or I didn't forget about one of those, and then. Those were the only questions. Okay, so the dog. Local folks that kind of know my dad. And know about the old dog that he had at his shop for a long time, old rusty dog. He was just this old dog that just laid around. He was like the perfect old shop dog, right? That wouldn't even get up when people come in the door, and he would like lay in the middle of the door so customers would come in and actually have to like step over the dog. Anyway, old Rusty went home to see Dog Jesus, and so my dad wanted a different dog. And so he found this cool dog. She's golden. She's Lab and German Shepherd, and he got the dog, and the dog is only like 2 years old. And so as it turns out, 2-year-old dogs are actually kind of rambunctious, and you have to work with them and stuff. So my dad got Debbie Salzman. Yeah, that was it. So my dad got this dog. Found out that it takes work, and was going to get rid of the dog, but in the meantime, Holly has a connection with the dog because it actually came with Holly. It actually came from Holly's stepdad, stuff like that. So we got the dog. We went and got the dog, and she's a really cool dog. She's a really cool dog, and she's smart. But she's big and rambunctious. And I have 4 kids and don't live in a huge house, and so all of a sudden, like with a Lab, it's like having another kid, but like you don't really care about him as much. It's like you do as you do a kid, So we have her. She's getting used to the house. What does she think of Bentley? So you can imagine Bentley's the old lady around here, and this is her place, and she's put in her time. So some young some young pretty blonde thing comes in and wants to run the place. Bentley wouldn't have that. So they got used to each other. Long story short, they kind of got used to each other, and they'll get more. Stepkid James. I know James. What's funny? What I said to my family was, I was like, yeah, it's like having an extra kid or a foster kid or stepkid that you just don't really care about. And so I didn't want to say that on here, but thanks, James. Anyway, so her name's Mila, and she's a pretty dog. I'll bring her on sometime. Yeah, she's cool. Holy smokes, it's 10, dang it, it's 10 to 7. Sas, you want to play song number 2? Really? You want to real quick? Dang, that went kind of long, guys. I wanted to talk to you about a council meeting on Monday. But, what?
You could just stop.
No, come here. Come play your song. Most of these guys they're on here to hear you play anyway, and not hear me yammer. Hear me yammer or defend Brookings business community. That was one thing I didn't mention, because, you know, like locals, like Robbie, you know, to hear me talk to someone like that claims to be part of our community, even though she isn't. Because as mayor, the time that I truly represent us as mayor is when I leave the community and I talk to people outside of our community, or someone from outside of our community comes in and I speak for Brookings. You know, I'm like an ambassador for Brookings. And so when you have someone like that from the outside that can be so detrimental to us and hurt us, I wasn't gonna be down with that. So, all right, you guys, listen to Silas though. This will cheer the mood up. What are you gonna bring? What are you gonna sing?
I'm gonna play Two Beautiful Birds.
Two Beautiful Birds. Right on.
All right. So I'm gonna do a little bit of a throwback and play Two Beautiful Birds by Passenger. Do you remember when we were two beautiful birds? We would light up the sky as we fly. You were orange and red like the sun when it sets. I was green as an apple's eye. You said you loved all the songs that I sing, like nothing you'd ever heard. And I said I loved you with all of my heart when we were two beautiful birds. Sing when the morning will come. You were silver and blue like the moon when it's new. I was golden as a summer sun. One day you asked for a different song, one that I just couldn't sing. I got the melody sharper, the words all wrong. Those were the last days of spring, to build a nest we pecked feathers from our chests, like a book tearing out every page. sky as we fly. We were orange and red like the sun when it sets. I was green as an apple's eye. And you said you loved all the songs that I sing, like nothing you'd ever heard. And I said I loved you with all of my heart when we were two beautiful birds.
Thanks, man. That's a heck of a good song, brother. That's good, man. Thank you for that, Silas. Yeah, that's a pretty song. You played that. You played that once before, maybe twice. That's a good song. That's a really good song. All right, guys. Yeah, 50 minutes. I know. I'm gonna go over. Tonight was definitely been worth watching. Yeah. Yep. Interesting night. Okay, guys. So, yeah, Monday we have a council meeting. There are a couple quick ones on there. Removal of an underground diesel tank. We're going to be talking about Andre's tree, and the council, the Parks and Rec District folks are going to come ask us for that resolution, for them to make a district. And then there's a counselor brought up a letter of support that I did for Project Turnkey, and so that's the last item on the agenda. That'll be kind of interesting too. Okay, guys. Other than that, have a good night. I'm glad. I was glad to see you guys. I was looking forward to being on tonight, and kind of missed you. Kind of missed chatting with you on Thursday, and then after seeing the comments, and you could imagine that I wanted to jump on. I wanted to jump on even after I got home late, but didn't. And I'm glad I didn't, because even though, public officials, like, we're held to a different standard and supposed to kind of hold ourselves to like a more civil standard and everything, but I am still just a dude. I am still just a lowly stove guy, just a dude, and to be poked and prodded, yeah, rough. So that was a good chat, and Robbie Grew, welcome to Brookings. You said you lived here a few years. I've continued to like it more the longer I live here, and you will too. As long as you gotta kind of be into what's here, and be okay with what Brookings has to offer, and just recognize where you are. But it's it's a cool place, and full of some really, really, really cool people. Yeah. Okay, guys. So I will see you. I'll see you Tuesday, and I'll kind of share how the council meeting went and everything. So until then, have a good night.